In February of 2021, Texas froze. The grid failed. Gas lines stretched for miles. And in the middle of that chaos, something strange happened. Electric vehicles quietly became lifeboats, powering homes, charging phones, keeping families warm. Now flip the season. It is August. The pavement in Houston is hot enough to cook an egg. And the same battery that survived a winter blackout is fighting a completely different enemy: heat. The South does not play by the rules the rest of the EV world was built for. So today, we are counting down the 7 EVs actually built to survive it. Before we get into the list, if you are new here, this channel breaks down EVs the way engineers talk about them behind closed doors. No hype, no sponsorships disguised as reviews, just the data that actually decides whether a car survives a Texas summer or a Florida hurricane season. If that is useful to you, hit subscribe now, because episode 2 of this series, The Midwest, drops next, and you will not want to miss it. Now, let's talk about why the South breaks EVs that work perfectly fine everywhere else. Here is what most buyers do not know. Lithium-ion batteries degrade fastest, not in the cold, but in sustained heat above 35 degrees Celsius, roughly 95 Fahrenheit. And in cities like Phoenix, Houston, and Orlando, pavement temperatures regularly blow past that number for months at a time. The difference maker is not the battery chemistry. It is the thermal management system around it. Some automakers use active liquid cooling that constantly regulates cell temperature. Others rely on cheaper passive air cooling, fine in Seattle, a liability in San Antonio. Cars with weak thermal management do not just degrade faster over years. They also throttle charging speed on hot days, meaning a car that supposedly fast charges in 25 minutes might take closer to 40 once the pavement hits triple digits. So every vehicle on this list earned its spot for one specific reason: proven, real-world thermal performance in southern heat. There is a second southern reality most EV reviews never mention: evacuation range. When a hurricane warning hits the Gulf Coast, gas stations empty out in hours. Lines wrap around blocks. Panic buying strands drivers exactly when they need fuel most. An EV owner who charges at home starts every evacuation with a full tank. No line, no wait. But range matters here in a very literal life-or-death way. A Category 4 evacuation from Tampa to Atlanta is roughly 450 miles. That is not a comfortable trip for every EV on the market, especially with a car packed full of family, pets, and belongings, which can cut real-world range by up to 15%. So range under load, not just range on a spec sheet, is baked into every ranking on this list. Here is where it gets interesting, because the South is not one market, it is 3 completely different ones. Texas offers a state rebate program for qualifying EVs on top of federal incentives, plus notably cheap public charging infrastructure thanks to deregulated energy pricing. Florida offers no state EV rebate at all right now, but makes up ground with some of the fastest-growing fast-charging corridors in the country, especially along Interstate 4 and Interstate 95. Georgia sits in between. No current state rebate, but Atlanta has quietly become one of the most EV-friendly metro areas in the Southeast, with utility-backed charging incentives for homeowners. Translation: the best EV for the South actually shifts slightly depending on which state you are in. Keep that in mind as we count down. At number 7, the Chevrolet Equinox EV. It is not flashy, and it will not win any drag races, but it offers genuinely strong real-world range at a price point under $45,000, and General Motors' battery cooling system has held up well in independent hot climate testing. For Texas families who want an EV without the luxury price tag, this is the sensible entry point. Number 6, the Hyundai Ioniq 6. This is the aerodynamics pick. Its slippery, low-drag shape means it holds highway range better than almost anything in its price class, critical for long hurricane evacuation drives. Hyundai's 800-volt architecture also means faster charging stops, so a 15-minute break on Interstate 10 gets you back on the road with serious range restored. Number 5. The Kia EV6. Sharing that same 800-volt platform as the Ioniq 6, the EV6 adds more cargo space and a slightly more rugged stance, better suited for Florida families hauling gear for beach trips or, less pleasantly, storm supplies. Kia's charging network partnerships have also expanded aggressively across the Southeast in the past year. Number 4. The Tesla Model Y. Say what you want about the brand. The supercharger network is still the single biggest advantage any EV can have in a hurricane evacuation scenario. When gas stations run dry, Tesla's charging density across Texas and Florida is unmatched. Add in one of the more sophisticated battery thermal management systems on the market, and it is simply hard to argue with as a southern daily driver. Number 3. The Rivian R1S. For buyers in Georgia and the Carolinas who want SUV capability, think boat trailers, camping gear, or storm prep hauling. The R1S delivers genuine towing capacity most EVs cannot touch, while still posting respectable range figures. It is expensive, but for a certain kind of Southern buyer, it is the only EV that actually replaces a truck. Number 2. The Ford F-150 Lightning. Speaking of trucks, the South still runs on them. The Lightning brings real towing power, a frunk big enough to matter, and critically, vehicle-to-home power capability. During a grid failure like the one Texas saw in 2021, that feature alone can power a house for days. For rural Southern buyers, this might be the most practical EV on the entire list. Number 1. The Hyundai Ioniq 5. The best all-around answer to every problem we just covered. Strong heat-tested battery cooling. Fast 800-volt charging for hurricane evacuations. Class-leading efficiency, and, critically, it currently qualifies for meaningful incentives in multiple Southern states, depending on lease versus purchase structuring. It is not the flashiest name on this list. It is simply the most complete. So there you have it. 7 EVs actually engineered for the reality of Southern living. The heat, the hurricanes, and the wildly different incentive maps from Texas to Florida to Georgia. If this saved you hours of research, that is exactly what this channel is built for. Subscribe, because next week we are heading north for part 2 of this series, the Midwest, where the enemy is not heat anymore. It is ice, snow, and range loss that can hit 25% in a single cold snap. Drop your state in the comments and I will tell you which EV on this list actually makes the most sense for where you live. I will see you in the next one.